Hello and good evening and salam perpaduan. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brenda Lepol and you're watching News at 10. In our top stories tonight. (2023) budgets to fulfill people's needs and agenda. And 40 flood mitigation projects to be implemented in East Coast. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim today held a meeting with the top management of the Treasury, among other things, to discuss the 2023 budget. Now, the meeting was held with Treasury Deputy Secretary General Policy Datuk Johan Mahmud Merikan and Treasury Deputy Secretary General Investment Datuk Anis Rizana Muhammad Zainuddin this afternoon in Putrajaya. Commenting further on the matter through a post in his Facebook account, the Premier said that the two top management were studying and working on Treasury affairs, especially people's issues, and the upcoming 2023 budget, in addition to completing government affairs before stepping into the new year, 2023. Earlier today, the Speaker of the Dewan Rakyat, Datuk Johari Abdul, confirmed that Datuk Seri Anwar is scheduled to table the 2023 budget at the Dewan Rakyat on 24th February, during the first meeting of the second session of the 15th Parliament next year. The budget will be tabled by Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also the Minister of Finance, at the Dewan Rakyat sitting, which is scheduled to convene from 13th February to 30th March. And meanwhile, the new 2023 budget will take into account the manifestos of all parties in the unity government. Deputy Finance Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Mazlan said a special secretariat for the new budget has been established to examine and study the manifestos to be included in the budget. Apart from that, he said, some improvements will also be considered in the new budget to ensure it meets the people's needs and agenda.
Ada pelbagai parti dalam kerajaan perpaduan yang menjadikan 2/3 majoriti, dan parti-parti itu ada manifesto-manifesto yang baik-baik untuk dilaksanakan. Ada urustia khas yang meneliti manifesto-manifesto parti dalam kerajaan perpaduan.
Datuk Seri Ahmad also said the government would continue with some of the initiatives made by the previous administration in its 2023 budget, such as the assistance of 150 ringgit to every school student, regardless of family income, which will be disbursed beginning this 12th January. He also said that matters on the budget will be discussed at the ministry-level meeting on 3rd January, and it will be up to the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, to decide the theme of the budget and its content. A total of 40 flood mitigation and environmentally friendly drainage projects are currently being and will be implemented by the Department of Irrigation and Drainage JPS in Kelantan and Terengganu. Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Ahmad said the implementation of flood mitigation RTB projects will increase the number of people protected from the effects of previous floods. Commenting further on the matter, the minister said in Kelantan, two major RTB projects are under implementation, namely the Sungai Kelantan Integrated River Basin Development Project PLSB, which has now reached 87.74% physical progress and is expected to be completed on 20th April next year.
PLSB Sungai Golok 3 fasa mencapai, di mana fasa 1 telah mencapai 71% kemajuan fizikal dan dijangka siap pada 13 Ogos 2024 sepenuhnya. PLSB Sungai Golok fasa 2 kini berada di peringkat tender sehingga 16 Januari 2023 dan pelaksanaan kerja fizikal akan disegerakan selepas penilaian tender selesai.
He also noted that the third phase will be implemented through off-budgetary allocations, with the total estimated cost of Sungai Golok PLSB project being 2.156 billion ringgit. Nik Nazmi said the recent monsoon surge peaked on 18 December, when the highest rainfall of over 430 millimeters per day was recorded in Kota Baru. After that, a total of 65 monsoon floods were recorded, of which 44 occurred in Kelantan and 21 in Terengganu. The Ministry of Rural and Regional Development will focus on four main aspects in empowering rural sustainable development to ensure the well-being of rural and regional communities. Its Minister, Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, said the four aspects include the improvement of good and efficient governance at the local, district and regional levels by connecting the private sector, civil society and government agencies. Elaborating further through a Facebook posting today, the minister said programs of change and transformation for rural areas need to be inclusive. Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid also said that all narratives, definitions, prescriptions, descriptions about the characteristics of rural and regional development need to be refined, because this will affect the discourse and narrative of rural communities. He said this affirmation is important to highlight the inclusive quality that is part of a larger societal entity that needs to be given continuous priority by agencies, ministries and the community. The minister added that this is also to ensure that the imperative of the village concept that have been presented before moves in line with the ministry's mission and vision, and it is the ministry's responsibility to ensure the sustainability of rural and regional development. The Perak State Assembly today unanimously passed an amendment to the state constitution to enable the anti-party hopping enactment to be implemented in the state to prevent elected representatives from switching political parties. The motion for the proposed amendment was tabled by Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Sarani Muhammad and seconded by Azman Noh of Barisan Nasional, Pengkalan Baharu. 6 members of the House debated on it, while Nga Kor Ming was not present due to his duties as the Minister of Local Government Development at the federal government level. Datuk Seri Sarani, when winding up the debate on the bill, said the law will strengthen the people's faith in democracy. He added that the law can protect the rights of the people who have voted and have high trust in politicians during the election process, in addition to improving the integrity of the elected representatives to provide the best service to the constituents in their area. He said history has proven that party hopping is not only a form of violation of democratic practices, but inhibits the function of a government and can even lead to its collapse. The Menteri Besar noted that economic and social stability can only be achieved when there is political stability. And coming up, autopsy shows Batu Pahat boy died from blunt force trauma to head. Stay with us. But first, the Ministry of Health, SAHIH, recommends that frontliners and the public, especially high-risk groups, get a booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccine following the latest developments on the pandemic in China currently. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, in his latest post on his official Facebook today, said that although COVID-19 cases in the country are currently under control and decreasing, precautions must be taken. On Tuesday, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham in a statement said that the ministry is increasing preparedness to face the possibility of increased cases and deaths due to COVID-19, following a drastic increase in cases in China. Elaborating further on the matter, the Health DG said, among the steps that will be taken is to increase the percentage of individuals eligible to receive booster doses to reduce the spread of infection and deaths. On another note, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said, Malaysia has yet to record any cases of Naegleria fowleri infection, but members of the public have been urged to be vigilant and take appropriate measures when carrying out activities related to fresh water. The public is also advised to avoid activities such as diving or swimming in water that may be contaminated by amoeba that can enter the nasal cavity directly, among others. A trader was charged in the Pasir Mas Sessions Court in Kelantan today with the kidnap of a cosmetic agent. Cik Nur Hafizi Cik Nur, 31, however, pleaded not guilty to the charge before Judge Badrul Munir Muhammad Hamdi. He was charged with another man who is still at large with kidnapping Ros Nazira Muhammad Nain, 36, at a house in Kampung Semat Jai, Wakaf Baru, near Tumpat, at 5:06 p.m. on 13 September this year. The charge framed under Section 363 of the Penal Code and read together with Section 34 of the same law, provides imprisonment for up to 7 years and a fine upon conviction. Cik Nur Hafizi was not allowed bail and the court set 20th January for mention for submission of documents. Deputy Public Prosecutor Hajarul Falina Itah Abu Bakar Adil prosecuted, while lawyers Muhammad Firdaus Zainal Abidin and Majdah Muhammad represented the accused. Based on media reports, Ros Nazira was kidnapped by a few men from her home in Tumpat in a Toyota Vios. Some residents reported seeing the victim being taken on a boat to Thailand before the car was found on 13 September. A blow to the head with a hard and blunt object is believed to have been the main cause of death of a 4-year-old boy suspected to have been an abuse victim in Batu Pahat 3 days ago. Johor Police Chief Datuk Kamarul Zaman Mamat today disclosed some details from the boy's post-mortem examination that had been carried out at the Sultan Ismail Hospital, HSI.
Walau bagaimanapun ada terdapat kesan cala-cala, kesan gigitan, insyaAllah siasatan tu kita akan teruskanlah bila akan dapat secara detail hasil postmortem yang dibuat oleh pihak doktor.
The boy has not been publicly named as investigations are ongoing, and Datuk Kamarul Zaman said police have summoned 10 people, including the boy's relatives, to assist in investigations. He said more are expected to be called later on. In addition to that, police will apply to extend the remand order on the 5 suspects who are currently in police custody until investigations are completed. The current remand order for the 5 suspects ends this Saturday. Police initially investigated his case as child abuse under Section 31, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Child Act 2001, which provides for a maximum fine of 50,000 ringgit or 20 years imprisonment, or both, before reclassifying it as murder under Section 302 of the Penal Code. Meanwhile, the Permaisuri of Johor, Raja Zarid Sofia Sultan Idris Shah, has expressed her sadness over the death of the 4-year-old boy. Her Royal Highness also urged all Malaysians to be more sensitive and concerned about the safety of children. Her Royal Highness was briefed on the facts of the case by Datuk Kamarul Zaman at Istana Bukit Serin yesterday. Raja Zarid Sofia noted that it was so heartbreaking to hear the explanation from the State Police Chief, and it also reminded Her Royal Highness the case of the late baby Bala in 1990, which also led to the enactment of the Child Act 2001. Also present were Johor Legal Advisor Datuk Amir Nasruddin and Johor Women's League Jewel President Tanam Visvanathan Suresh. Raja Zarid Sofia said she hoped that the child's death would serve as a reminder to the community to be more sensitive in protecting the group. Her Royal Highness further quoted on saying that it takes a village to raise a child, and reminded the public that children expect and need the members of the community to keep them safe. In regards to that, Raja Zarid Sofia stressed that all parties have an important role in society, which is to protect children from abuse. Coming up in our foreign segment, at least 19 dead after fire rips through Cambodia Hotel Casino. At least 6 people have been killed after a bus and truck crash caused a huge fire at an expressway tunnel on the outskirts of Seoul today. Images of the scene in local media showed huge flames and plume of smoke rising from the tunnel as hundreds of firefighters battled to bring the blaze under control. An official at the Guaqian Fire Department said the fire started when a bus collided with a truck at around 1:50 p.m. local time today in the expressway tunnel in Guaqian. The raised tunnel, which is designed to protect surrounding buildings from the noise of the road, was quickly engulfed in flames. The official added that firefighters have brought the blaze under control and were doing a search inside the tunnel in case of additional casualties. He also said that around 20 people have been treated for smoke inhalation. Interior Minister Lee Sang-min has called for maximum resources deployed to save lives. The fatal accident comes just months after 150 people, mostly young women, were killed in a Halloween crowd crush in the Itaewon nightlife district. At least 19 people were killed and dozens of others remained missing after a fire engulfed a casino complex in Cambodia late Wednesday night. Local authorities said another 70 people were injured in the blaze at the Grand Diamond City Hotel and Casino in Poipet, a city that borders Thailand, and the death toll is expected to rise as rescuers search for victims who were trapped in the building. Thai rescue workers who responded to emergency calls from Cambodian authorities said some victims had jumped to their deaths from the burning building in a frantic attempt to escape. Pirapan Srisakon from the Aranya Pratet Rescue Foundation said 2 people died immediately when they hit the ground and around 5 others broke their legs. Pirapan said his team alone saw 11 bodies, including 7 who had died from smoke inhalation and were found in locked hotel rooms, adding that it was very difficult for rescue workers to survey the building as it was full of thick smoke. Authorities said the hotel used an electric system for rooms and elevators, so when the fire started and the building lost electricity, many people were stuck in their rooms and could not escape. Authorities also said that approximately 700 Thai citizens were rescued and sent to hospitals in Thailand. Indian police are investigating the sudden deaths of a wealthy Russian politician who reportedly criticized the Ukraine war and his traveling companion at a luxury hotel. Authorities said the body of Pavel Antov, 65, was found Saturday in a pool of blood outside his lodgings in eastern Odisha state, where he was on holiday with 3 other Russian nationals. His death came 2 days after another member of the travel party, Vladimir Bidenov, was found unconscious after suffering an apparent heart attack at the same hotel and could not be revived. Police said they were reviewing CCTV footage, questioning hotel staff, and were waiting on detailed autopsy reports, but so far there was no sign of foul play. Regional Police Chief Rajesh Pandit said Bidenov's heart attack had likely been caused by binge drinking and a possible drug overdose. He added that so far it seems that Antov accidentally fell from the hotel terrace because Antov was probably disturbed by the death of his friend. In June, Russian media published a WhatsApp message attributed to Antov that said a Kremlin missile bombardment on Ukraine was terrorism. Antov took to the Russian social media network VK to deny writing the message, insisting that he supported Russia's special military operation in Ukraine. And in sports, Haaland scores twice as Man City cruise past Leeds.
Perlawanan bola sepak Piala AFF Mitsubishi Electric 2022. Saingan bagi memburu tahta pasukan terbaik di rantau Asia Tenggara. Jumaat 30 Disember, perlawanan kumpulan B, Myanmar bertemu Laos 6.15 minit petang di TV2 dan saluran sukan RTM. Dan Singapura bertemu Vietnam 8.45 minit malam di TV2 dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstrima langsung di RTM Klik.
And welcome back. Now, the defeat against Vietnam has put Malaysia in a precarious situation of having to win their next match against Singapore or forget about advancing to the semi-finals of the ASEAN Football Federation Cup 2022 AFF Cup. The 3-0 defeat may be a bitter pill to swallow for the Malaysian side, but come next Tuesday, there will be no time to look back at the spills in Hanoi. But rather, South Korean coach Kim Bang-gon and his charges must pull up their socks and enter the battleground with only the victory cry when in motion. Skipper Muhammad Faisal Abdul Halim, who had landed in Hanoi with a proud record of having scored in both Malaysia's previous matches, had a rather quiet game against Vietnam and failed to find the target in the defeat. However, the prolific striker with 3 goals under his belt in the competition will have a good 6 days ahead of him to rest and shine his scoring boots in preparation to face Singapore. Muhammad Faisal said, naturally, Singapore will go all out to achieve a win against Malaysia, and they have a week to prepare physically and mentally for the all-important match. Vietnam will face Singapore in the 3rd match at the Jalan Besar Stadium in Singapore on Friday. In Premier League football, Erling Haaland continued his incredible season in front of goal with a brace to help Manchester City cruise to a 3-1 victory at Leeds United early this morning, ensuring the champions closed the gap to Premier League leaders Arsenal to 5 points. The visitors had a host of chances in the first half, with Haaland twice denied by fine saves from home goalkeeper Ilan Melier, while England forward Jack Grealish blazed 2 efforts over from good positions. It appeared City would go into the interval frustrated before Spanish midfielder Rodri finally made 1 count in first half stoppage time, firing home after another Melier save. Back in the city of his birth, where his father was a player for Leeds, Norway international Haaland effectively put the game to bed early in the second half with a simple finish, before taking his league tally to 20 for the season in the 64th minute. Pascal's strike gave home supporters faint hope of a comeback as he headed home with 17 minutes left, but it was always going to be a consolation against City in this mood. The victory helped second-place City move back to within 5 points, Arsenal at the top of the standings, while Leeds stay 15, 2 points clear of the relegation zone. Kylian Mbappe said he will never get over the disappointment of losing the World Cup final after the France star scored the winner on his return to action for Paris Saint-Germain yesterday.
Personnellement, je ne vais jamais digérer. Maintenant, comme j'ai dit, mon club il n'est pas responsable de cet échec en sélection. Donc j'ai essayé de revenir avec l'énergie la plus positive possible. Et j'ai essayé dès aujourd'hui, essayer d'amener un élan à mon équipe pour revenir avec la victoire et continuer notre saison où on est invaincu. C'était une parenthèse Coupe du Monde, c'est la sélection, le club ça n'a rien à voir.
Vous avez eu le message?
Mbappe said he had been through some difficult times since the defeat, but he showed few signs of the setback in Qatar as he won and converted a 96-minute penalty to give PSG a last gasp 2-1 win against Strasbourg on Ligue 1's resumption following the World Cup break. Neymar, who was left in tears after Brazil were knocked out by Croatia in the quarterfinals of the World Cup, was sent off for 2 yellow cards in PSG's victory. And in tennis, Novak Djokovic will never forget how it felt to be deported from Australia earlier this year, but the Serb said his willingness to return for next month's Grand Slam at Melbourne Park shows the depth of feeling he has for the country. Djokovic was deported on the eve of the 2022 Australian Open in January for not being vaccinated against COVID-19 and received a 3-year travel ban for the country. However, the former world #1's visa ban was waived in November, opening up a path for Djokovic to target a 10th Australian Open crown and giving him a chance to tie Rafa Nadal's mark of 22 Grand Slam titles. Djokovic also said that his overall experience in Australia had not been soured by what happened in January. Djokovic will warm up for the Australian Open by playing in the Adelaide International starting on 1st January, and he is hoping for a warm reception from local fans. Meanwhile, Rafael Nadal said it is good for tennis that Djokovic was back in Australia for the Australian Open after the Serb was forced to miss last season's event.
Novak is here, good for tennis, good for probably for the fans. And let's say, I mean, best players, home court always better.
The Spaniard was speaking in Sydney yesterday on the eve of the United Cup mixed team tournament, featuring 18 countries split into 6 three-team groups, playing in 3 cities: Sydney, Perth and Brisbane. Each team plays 2 men's singles, 2 women's singles and a mixed doubles against the 2 other teams in their group, with Nadal Spain up against hosts Australia and Great Britain in Group D in Sydney. The tournament commences today with the USA playing the Czech Republic, Italy against Brazil, Greece taking on Bulgaria, as well as Australia versus Great Britain, Switzerland versus Kazakhstan, and France versus Argentina. The winning country from each group will play a regional final, with the 3 winners of these, plus the best runners-up, progressing to the semi-finals in Sydney, followed by the final on 8 January.
The number of malicious and false statements spread by SMS or social media platforms have become too widespread. The public is advised to be careful and not fall for such ploys and sharing or forwarding such messages. Remember that spreading fake news is an offence under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998. This carries a penalty of a fine not exceeding 50,000 ringgit or up to 1 year imprisonment or both upon conviction.
And wrapping up the news at 10, in our top story, 2023 budget takes into account manifesto of all parties in unity government. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, it's lights out. I'm Brendan Lepal. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and take care.